So I'm heading into my favorite store. It's Menards. So here you go, Menards. And they're in Midwest and they do 11% off. And I'm going in here to look at the tile and purchase the tile that we want for our kitchen. So we're in the tile aisle and this is the tile that we decided to buy. It's on sale now, which is good. And this is 5mm thickness and it's 27.3 square feet. We've determined that we're going to need 4 boxes so that we have some overage for mistakes. And we also have to get some stair trim. So we need 3 of these. They're called stair edging, 36 inches. So we're going to get 3 of these. And I'm going to need 1 of these carpet trim pieces. I'm going to get the unfinished one. This is 36 inches and it transitions carpet to lower floor, but we are transitioning from a tile to the lower floor, so this should work fine. This is the vinyl plank flooring that we picked out for the kitchen. It is a white and it shows it in a bathroom pattern. It has a marbleized, very spread out marbleized effect. But what we like is that it already has an attached pad and it's 100% waterproof since we are going to be using it in the kitchen and the bathroom. Now this was about $3 a square foot and the tiles are 18 inches by 36 inches. And so we have a lot less seams to worry about, which we really are going to appreciate. I don't like a lot of seams, gives it more chance for things to separate or come apart. As I'm pulling this up, I'm noticing a really foul urine smell. And that is because the renters that were here previously had dogs in the house. They were peeing everywhere. And as I said, these grip strips were coming apart. Everything was probably seeping underneath the floor. So this is all sticky urine. It's totally disgusting, so the floor has to be totally disinfected and washed before we can lay down the new tile. Here are the old stair trim that I took off. This is an old piece of molding, but everything is going to be replaced. So this is in a really big kitchen, so it's not going to take a lot of time. And this stuff is so thin and lightweight and breaks apart. It just like falls apart. You can see here, it just broke apart. I can just throw this in my garbage can outside, have the garbage man take it out. So I'm washing up the urine with an antibacterial soap. But I want to tell you that is why I want a tile with very little grout or seams in it, because even though it says it's waterproof, if something does get through any of those seams, just like when you put down plank vinyl flooring and you put that barrier down, that barrier, that's where the urine is going to sit. It won't go onto your subfloor, but it's going to sit on there. And there's no getting around that. It will go through some of those seams. I don't care what anybody tells you, it goes through the seams. And this is what has happened. Luckily, this old vinyl floor was never removed. It's acting as a sub layer, even though this tile we bought says it already has an attached pad. But I don't want my subfloor getting ruined, then I have to tear up the whole entire kitchen floor. We moved the stove out from the wall just to see how long the attachment was. And luckily it's long enough for me to get back there and clean. And you can see in this corner here, this is where they used to do linoleum and they used to roll it up the side of the wall. They rolled it up. So I'm going to take that off, cut that back, clean this whole area, remove this. There's a molding over here. This is an extremely tight fit, but I want to clean this all up before we proceed to put any tile down. Unfortunately, our refrigerator had a very short water line connecting to the copper piping. So we took it off and we bought some extension with a push-on connector so we can extend the water line. So when we have to pull the refrigerator out in the future, it will be really easy.
We already own this special tool. It's a Dremel Sawmax, and what it does is it will take these corner moldings and we can trim up the edge so we can put the tile directly underneath it and don't have to cut all those little edges. We're going to do the same over here. And this one is already a little up because when we had new doors put in back here, new molding was put around the door, and our carpenter, he put it up higher. So this one will be left alone, or maybe we'll shave it up just a little, but it's already got a spot for the top.
Here's a full view of how this tile came out. I really like the way it looks. I like that it's white. I can see the dirt on it. It's easy to clean. The seams are really, really tight. We do have to do some trim work over here, and we weren't able to get around this area here with that tool to cut off the molding, so we're going to have to fill it with something. I've done it before on wood floors. I've used wood filler and it worked out fine. We have a bunch of trim to do all around here, and this part came out pretty good. Also some trim around there, and we do have to put a transition here. So this is what happens when you take a baseboard off of these plaster walls. A lot of it starts to crumble and just fall apart. So that is why we did not change out all this trim on our baseboards. It would have just crumbled, and it's just a lot of work. And even our carpenter had said, what's the matter, Winnie? Even our carpenter said he would not recommend doing that. But these pieces were falling off the wall, so we're replacing them. I bought this stuff. This is by DAP. It's called plastic wood. And what I'm going to use this for is to fill in some of the gaps that we weren't able to actually cut cleanly around. So I put some around this little area here, as you can see, and it does a really good job of getting that filled in. As it dries, it actually becomes less shiny and dark. So I did that on a number of areas, and it's super easy to use. You just squeeze it out. You can push it in with your fingers, or you can use a putty knife. Just make sure it dries. It's actually sandable and paintable. So I did that in areas where there was some questionable gaps. Let me show you here. Around here, there were some questionable gaps, and here. And I'm going to be painting this molding. So I think overall, this stuff is really worth it if you're unsure. And they do make vinyl fillers as well. So if something was to happen to the vinyl flooring, you can usually find a vinyl filler to fill those nicks or gouges. But this is what I use to fill in any of the openings around the casement that we weren't able to actually cut cleanly around. So overall, this is a little tour of how the kitchen turned out, its completion. And I will have to say that it is time consuming and it can be a little difficult. So you do need to have special tools. You might need to have a vinyl tile cutter if you're doing a lot of tiles. We were able to just score and snap. You could use a miter box to do baseboards and trim. I have a power saw, which makes it easier. You also will need to have something to attach these trim pieces to your wall. So if you don't have a nail gun, that could be an issue. And we also had to cut up some trim around our door, and that could be an issue for you as well. And these little things are the reasons why professionals charge a lot of money to do these particular projects.